Hey guys, gwyned here, and today I am bringing you the finals of Phase 1 of the Standard Pauper Double League. Um, these two opponents have survived the top 8 double elimination round and are now playing in the finals. So on the top we have ZombieNeko, and he is playing a Jund Allies deck. While on the bottom we have tikimunkee, and he is playing an aggressive form of Izzet, kind of an Izzet tokens kind of build. And we are off. tikimunkee very early on is able to drop an impact tremors. Very nice combo with all the low power creatures that the deck plays. Let's see if Zombie has anything to respond with during his second turn. Looks like he's kind of pondering the different options that he's got in his deck. So while he's thinking about that, just let you know that while I've seen a lot of tikimunkee's build, this is actually the first time I had seen ZombieNeko's build. Real interesting. It's kind of a 4-color allies deck. When allies first were spoiled for Battle for Zendikar, I actually didn't think there would be much of a deck there, but it turns out it actually works pretty well. So he goes ahead and drops a Colostria Healer, gives him a point of life, takes a point of life away from his opponent, and is an ally that will combo with other allies that'll come out. Back on tikimunkee's turn, he has Dragon Fodder, which will not only give him 2 +1/+1 tokens, but deal 2 damage thanks to impact tremors. It's a very nice play for him. And furthermore, he's going to go ahead and use Fire Impulse on the Colostria Healer. So how will Zombie respond? So it's interesting, even though here he goes. Okay, I was thinking maybe he was going to pause and think for a minute, but it looks like he knows what he's doing. At least making his drops. He's going to know his Visionary. I've heard people say this is almost a broken card for Pauper. I wouldn't go that far, but certainly getting a 1/1 and drawing another card is very good. But tikimunkee does have another Fiery Impulse. In some ways, that's almost a 2-for-1 for Zombie, though, because he got a card out of the deal, and tikimunkee spent an entire card burning out a 1/1. But the way this particular deck works, tikimunkee doesn't really care about card advantage. He just wants to press as much damage as quickly as possible. So Zombie on his turn plays a Valakut Predator. It's the only landfall creature in his deck, but it's really a pretty powerful one. Can get quite large, and is a pretty good deal for 2/2 for 2 red, especially when you're playing Evolving Wilds like ZombieNeko is. So tikimunkee has a Jeskai Scout. No, what's that card called? Anyway, Jeskai Sage, excuse me. And just another great card, combos well, draws a card when it dies, and is a perfect fit for the way this particular deck is built. So here, let's see if he wants to attack. He's just going to pass the turn back to ZombieNeko. So I imagine he'll hold on to that Evolving Wilds as long as he can, as long as it's not constricting his mana too much. I would guess he wouldn't attack here, simply because his card's able to hold back so many of his opponent's cards. Does have another land play. Now, this particular deck, since it's 4 colors, does play a lot of the come into play tap land. The advantage of that, of course, is that he gets a life gain off of it, so that can certainly be helpful. He is going to go ahead and attack here. For whatever reason, he could have held it back, but I'm not sure. It's an interesting choice. Obviously, tikimunkee can just go ahead and block with the Sage and get his card back. So not a huge loss, and holds back the Predator. It looks like Zombie does have a follow-up. He's got the Invoker. This is probably my favorite of all the Invokers. Just the ability, once you're at 8 mana, to be able to deal 3 damage to anything is really powerful. And not surprisingly, tikimunkee wants nothing to do with it. Plays his 3rd Fiery Impulse and is able to get it off the board right away. So back on his turn, tikimunkee's going to go ahead. Looks like he is firing off a Treasure Cruise here. It's very unusual in such a aggressive deck to be able to play a high mana cost like Treasure Cruise, but of course when you're playing lots of instants and sorceries, or a lot of your creatures die, works really well. And so now he's played out very aggressively and is able to basically refill his hand and keep the pressure on. So of all the aggressive decks, this one really has the ability to stand in and survive the long game, simply because it has the ability to draw so many cards thanks to Treasure Cruise. Treasure Cruise certainly continues to be One of those cards that if you're not playing it, you probably should be, or should have a really good reason why you're not playing it, because it is definitely at the edge of the power level for what you would expect to see a common, and maybe even too good to be a common. So Zombie continues to get some instant life gain off the lands that keep coming his way, and is playing Seek the Wilds. Kind of an interesting choice, but in this deck, he's playing lots of different lands, but this does help him kind of cycle through that, find what he needs, and kind of filter through the deck. Interesting choice. I'm not sure that it would be a great card in this particular matchup. I haven't had a chance to talk with him and find out why he feels like that's a good card for the deck. He does find a Tajira Stalwart, which is definitely one of the better cards in this particular deck. You're able to get, assume he'll play it so I can show it to you here, but you essentially get a 3/4 for 3 mana, which is really, really strong. And it has nice synergy with the other allies. So, and that's certainly powerful enough to hold back his whole team, but tikimunkee could easily have some kind of combat trick, or so interesting to see. What's he doing here? Looks like, I'm guessing the card that makes the double monks, maybe? Either that or he's casting Treasure Cruise again. Okay, Clutch of Currents. Okay, so he's going to play Clutch of Currents, bounce the Tajira Stalwart, and then is able to swing in for just a whole bunch of damage here. It looks like 7 points of damage. Very nice turn for him, dropping ZombieNeko all the way down to 9. Oh, is he thinking of holding one of the goblin tokens back? No. Okay. He's going to go ahead and swing it with everything. That is exactly what I would expect. All right, so Zombie's going to need something here to deal with, if nothing else, to at least deal with that hasted land creature that's a 3/3 now. He is going to go ahead and swing in here. Interesting decision. Not going to hold back the Predator, willing to go ahead and race with his opponent. Pretty gutsy move, considering all the removal that tikimunkee showed so far, and simply the ability for him to deal damage on that impact tremors. But he does have the Cluster Healer, which helps, gets a point back, and then with the Tajuru, he gets yet another life gain, and bringing his opponent down to 10. So actually a fairly close match so far. Tiki's going to bounce up to 11 thanks to his own enters tapped land. And let's see what he's got here. Okay, this is what I was thinking of, Ojutai Summons. So he'll get the 2/2 blue flying monk. I've never seen monks that fly, but I guess they're djinns. So these are flying monks. You get one now, get one later. And they are small enough that they trigger off impact tremor. So it's interesting, between both of them, they have a lot of kind of incidental life gain and incidental damage that they're getting to do. Kind of interesting to see how this plays out. Obviously, the longer the game goes, typically that would favor ZombieNeko. His deck is going to be a little larger. It just tends to be that way. A bit better creatures, better quality. But with all the treasure cruises that tikimunkee's playing, he may actually have enough advantage that he can continue to push through. So he's going to go ahead and swing in with both the Predator and with the Stalwart here. Let's see, tikimunkee probably needs to do some blocking. Going to go ahead and trade in, looks like, his land guy, as well as the Jeskai Sage. Okay, so he is going to go ahead and throw a token in there as well, just to make sure he kills it. That obviously makes a lot of sense. All right, so those blocks make sense. He's tapped out, so he doesn't have any tricks. It looks like Zombie may have a trick here. Let's see what he's doing. Happened really fast there. It's Unholy Hunger. Okay, so goes ahead and uses that to get rid of the island and is able to kill the token as well. Kind of not quite a 2-for-1, but still pretty decent for him. So now the Ojutai Summons is going to rebound, leaving him with 2/2 flyers, which Zombie may not have much in the way of a solution to. I don't think he has very many answers to flyers in this particular deck, despite the fact that he's playing green. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to survive that, because 2 turns of that, I guess 3 turns of that is all it's going to take. If you can just sneak 1 more point of damage and summon 1 more creature and hit with those Djinn monks twice, that will be the end. That will be the end, at least of game 1. Excuse me. So let's see what tikimunkee has here. Another Ojutai Summons is what this looks like. Could be Treasure Cruise, but probably more likely to be another Ojutai. Could also be Clutch of Currents. So he's thinking real hard here. If it is Clutch of Currents, I would expect him to bounce the Stalwart. It does let Zombie get a little more. Okay, it is a clutch occurrence, and that is exactly what he's doing, bouncing the Star Ward. And now he's able to go ahead and hit in for 7 points of damage here. And if he has, oh, and interesting, he decides, oh, the monk has summoning sickness, of course, so he can only hit for 5, giving ZombieNeko basically one more turn to try to find a solution here. See if he can come up with anything to keep himself alive here. Doesn't look like he's got something that he's just slamming into play, but he so far has shown that he's a very thoughtful player and is willing to take the time to make sure that he's looking at all the different possibilities before he concedes here. That would be my guess. I'm not sure. Could have a removal spell. He's got 3 cards in hand, so he definitely could have some options here. But the fact that he doesn't have any way of interacting with the 2 flyers is definitely probably his biggest liability here. So unless he's directly, that's got to be exactly what he deals with. He's got to have a way of dealing with those flyers, or there's nothing else he can do. Okay, so he's just going to go ahead and swing in here. Interesting. I don't know if that's a move of desperation or if he's just, I suppose he might as well. Maybe he'll block. Tiki could block with his flyer and give Zombie a reprieve for one more turn. It doesn't look like that's what he's going to do. He's just going to throw the goblin in front of it. And let's see if Zombie's got anything else he's going to be able to do here to hold back one of those flyers. Definitely needs a creature with reach, which I don't think his deck is playing. Okay, so he does have Twin Bolt, so he's able to get one of the monks down. And then he's going to go ahead and get the Tajuru Star Ward back out as well, bumping up to 5 life and giving him another lease on life. And the Stalwart is also in a really good spot to block that island token. So let's see. It looks like Tikimunkee once again, though, has Treasure Cruise. Again, just for such an aggressive deck to have the ability to recharge so easily is really what makes this aggressive version of this is a deck so powerful. It's able to put a lot of pressure on early, but unlike other aggressive decks, is able to continue to keep up that pressure by refilling with Treasure Cruise. So the card advantage here is significant at this point, and Zombie just isn't going to have enough resources to be able to do anything about it. Yeah, he's drawn, it looks like by my count, 7 more cards than his opponent, and that's just devastating in a game like Standard Pauper, where it's, the card quality is so even that, being up 7 cards, there's just very little that you're going to be able to do about it, particularly if a game goes into as many rounds as this has. As many turns. So we're at turn 10 here. So let's see. He is able to go ahead and block the island, but it looks like that Tikimunkee has the Trumpet Blast, which will leave him with a point of damage. So he'll still be alive at 1, and they will still go ahead and trade. But all he needs now is to summon a creature or play any burn spells, and that will be the end of this game 1. So let's see. Looks like Tikimunkee doesn't have anything right here, but unless Zombie's got the way to gain life right away, I can't imagine that he would survive until the next turn. So just plays a land. He's got 1 card in hand, so that doesn't bode well for him at this point. So he's going to go ahead and swing in with his 2 creatures, drops his opponent down to 5. Oh, and he's going to go ahead and trigger it. Wow, and drop him down to 3. So very close. If he had a removal spell here, something like a lightning strike, which actually may have rotated out, now that I think about it. If he had any way of dealing damage, directly might have been able to win this. But at the moment, it looks like Tikimunkee has it, unless Zombie is slow rolling something. Let's see what he's got here. Does he have something? Looks like he does, although I don't know what costs. No, it looks like he doesn't have anything. He's just picking out his bonus. All right, so Tikimunkee goes ahead and wins that first match. I'll let them sideboard, and then I'll be back in a minute for the second game. All right, so we are back after sideboarding. Tikimunkee has won the first game. Looks like he is going to go ahead and keep his opener, but ZombieNeko has to mulligan down to 5. Definitely a painful way for him to start. And he's forced to bottom his initial card as well. So he's definitely facing a pretty hard uphill climb at this point. See, not much going on, of course, in the early game. Both opponents are at least have some initial mana, looking good. Tikimunkee does have an early dragon fodder. Go ahead and get some initial pressure out on his opponent. And looks like Zombie's just going to pass the turn back. Let's see what Tikimunkee's able to do at this stage. Excuse me. So obviously here he's going to swing in with the Goblin tokens. Go ahead and get that first 2 points of damage in. And let's see, Zombie. Oh, and he looks like he's going to go ahead and use Trumpet Blast here just to really crank on some early pressure. Going and dropping ZombieNeko all the way down to 14 right away. Probably just trying to take advantage of the fact that ZombieNeko had to mulligan down to 5, which is definitely not a place you want to be when you're up in the finals. So he is able to get the Tajubu Stalwart out, which definitely will keep the Goblin tokens back. And Tiki doesn't have an easy way of answering that this early unless he's got some bounce. Just kind of been the way he's been able to deal with it so far. So he fearlessly goes ahead and swings in with both of the Goblin tokens. I would expect a trick here. Zombie may just go ahead and let those come in. At this point, he's up to 15 health, and he may be able to just kind of let those slide by rather than taking risk. And that is indeed what he's going to do, assuming that his opponent has a trick and just going to sidestep it. And interesting, Tiki has no other play here. So let's see what Zombie wants to do. I would assume since he's not blocking, he's going to go ahead and attack with a Stalwart, try to race. Kind of an interesting decision. Oh, and he has a second Stalwart. Very nice. So despite the mole, it has a pretty strong board presence now. Let's see if Tikimunkee is able to respond and get some of those big creatures off the board or deal with them some other way. So obviously, one of the advantages of the Stalwarts is I think it is immune to all of Red's removal. There's not any easy way for Red to deal 4 points of damage. And it looks like, once again, Zombie's just going to go ahead and let the tokens do their damage. And Tikimunkee is going to follow up that. This an Ojutai summons would be my guess. No, it's another Clutch of Friends. Okay, so he's going to go ahead and bounce one of the Stalwarts back. And interesting, I thought that he... Oh, yes, okay. At first I didn't see the land. I had thought for some reason that he didn't actually create the land. He did. ZombieNeko looks like he has sideboarded in a Touch the Void and is able to get rid of the land token right away. And go ahead and swing in again for 3 here. Still way behind the curve as far as dealing damage. But he's hanging in there. It's got his opponent down to 15, and at least at this point has a fairly decent board presence. They're about equal in card advantage, so it'll be interesting to see. I would say they're pretty much a parity at this point. Game could definitely go either way. Tikimunkee looks like he is pondering his different options. Doesn't seem like so far he's had a really strong hand. Is going to go ahead and swing in with the tokens, obviously. Doesn't use any combat tricks here. Drops his opponent down to 9. And going to have some kind of follow-up here, potentially. Oh, he's got Treasure Cruise here to go ahead and refill, looks like. Because that's usually that's what he's doing. Is he'll go ahead and cast Treasure Cruise here to refill. Does take all his mana, but now he's got a significant card advantage there. He's up a couple cards and is going to be able to do some real damage here. So Zombie's only got 4 lands, but so far that doesn't seem to have constrained him too much. We know he has a Stalwart in hand. Let's see if he decides to drop that or if he's got something else that he would rather use to plug up the board. And that makes sense. I think a Stalwart's probably his best play here. Just seems like it's one of his better creatures now. And he goes ahead and leaves the Stalwart back this time. Looks like he wants to be able to block both of the tokens. Interesting enough, Trumpet Blast by itself is not enough to make those Goblin tokens be able to trade with the Stalwart. So he's got to have something else here. Is this another Clutch of Currents? Or did he bring in something else out of the board? This looks like another Clutch of Currents. So that's his second one of those? Yeah, second one in this particular game. So he's fortunate in this build to have enough land and really getting some really great value out of him. Like he's changing the way he's tapped his mana potentially. Yeah, he's just changing the way his mana wants to use the Swift Water Cliffs as his land token. Excuse me. So yeah, he goes ahead and blocks the stalwart, gets the Swiftwater Cliffs into play, and is going to go ahead and swing in here. No, probably not, because whatever he swings in with is just going to die to the stalwart. Okay, so he's going to send in both Goblin tokens. That makes sense. Willing to lose a token to get another point of damage, and I think that, given the amount of pressure that Tikimunkee's putting on ZombieNeko, I think that's the right decision there. No reason for Zombie not to block here. His opponent's tapped out. Oh, but he still doesn't block. That must have been a misclick. There was no reason there. I mean, I suppose. Oh, I didn't think about that. He could have actually been, the land was untapped, so there was potentially there a combat trick that Tikimunkee could have had. But I still think I would have blocked at least one of them there. Wasn't quite a free block, but almost. And he's, that 1 point of life may come back to really hurt him. Hopefully not. Let's see if he's able to pull something off here. But definitely under the gun here. Although, again, those stalwarts are big enough that they're able to hold back. But in order for them to hold back, obviously, he's got to be willing to block and take the risk of getting hit with a combat trick. So, Tikimunkee here looks like he's maybe going to do a double removal spell. That would certainly be one way. He's got enough card advantage now that he can afford to do that, and that is what he's going to go ahead and do. Go ahead and use a double fiery impulse to get rid of one of the stalwarts, and then could swing in with the goblin tokens, and if he's got something like Trumpet Blast, can swing in pretty freely here. I mean, he is going to go ahead and swing in with all three. At this point, Zombie really doesn't have much choice. He's going to go ahead and block the land token. He does have the Trumpet Blast, and so that'll drop him down to 2 and trades with the land token. And now he's got to have some way of dealing. Even just a single blocker would be enough to keep those goblin tokens out of the way. It does find the Valakut Predator, but really, hopefully he can find maybe one more creature to kind of help him stay in the game at this point. And it does look like he has Dousing Gloom. So he kills one of the goblin tokens with Dousing Gloom, brought that in out of the board, gives him a nice little 2-point life swing, and probably just in time as Tikimunkee finds an Impact Tremors and follows it up immediately with the Jeskai Sage and continuing to keep the pressure on, but at least for the moment, the Goblin token is forced to stay back by the Predator, giving Zombie just a little bit of breathing room here. Has Seek the Wilds, see if he can find either a creature or land. That would be helpful for him. He does find a Valakut Invoker, which I assume he'll go ahead and cast here. Is not really very close to being able to activate the... Oh, instead he's going to play the Elvish Visionary. Interesting choice. So I'll play the Elvish Visionary, maybe hoping for a land, but does have a Cluster Healer as well. Gains that point of life back. And pretty good line by him. Valakut, the Invoker is a little beefier, but probably at this point it doesn't make a huge difference. Especially since Tikimunkee now has the Dragon Fodder, able to drain his opponent down to 2. Again, that Impact Tremor is doing some real work, and the Jeskai Sage has been bumped up to a 2/2, and at this point, the only logical thing to do is probably block with the Predator here, which is a real unfortunate trade. Oh, he's just going to chump with the Visionary. That's certainly another option to keep his opponent from drawing another card. To me, that is what makes the most sense. He could also double block, although his opponent has a lot of untapped mana, could easily have a trick. Although only one card in hand, I might have been tempted there to double block. But I guess with his opponent having so many tokens on the other side, keeping as many blockers on his side as possible, maybe is the wiser choice. So he's pumped up the Valakut Invoker, but I can't imagine that he's going to be able to swing in. He does. Oh, and he's actually playing the Night Watch. We haven't seen this particular card yet. Seems like it could be really good in this matchup if he can manage to survive long enough to get some potential use out of it. So Tikimunkee once again. Okay, this time it is Ojutai summons. Gonna go ahead and get some flyers, and that pretty much ZombieNeko is going to need something right away in order to fend off those flying monks, because he's otherwise in very serious trouble. Doesn't really have an easy way in this deck of being able to deal with them. Had he played the Valakut Invoker, and if he had a land now in hand, he might be able to act well. I guess it wouldn't be down. No, it would be down. He would have the potential to go ahead and blow up the monk, but he does not. Looks like it is stranded in his hand, and he has given his opponent a good game, so I'm guessing that is where this particular match is going to end. My guess is he's looking over all his options one last time, just making sure that there's not anything else he could possibly do. But being down, having to mull down to 5 is definitely a huge disadvantage to him. And I'm reminding them here that since this is Zombie's first loss, that even though Tikimunkee has won the match, that they need to go to a second match. And I'll be back in just a minute with that match.